Well, a little bit later than normal. It's actually Saturday night here at Shelburne Park, late in the evening, and we're reviewing Friday night's action in the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby second round. The first 8 heats, Kevin, some fantastic racing, but we'll kick off right from the start. We have a lot to cover. First heat, of course, Droopy's Pension. This was a race where Ballymac was the hot favourite, but she was under a cloud during the week, and it was clear to see this wasn't the Ballymac we're used to seeing. Droopy's Pension, in contrast, showed real early dash. In a race probably lacking a yard or two early, he devoured the ground into the corner, went clear, and thereafter it was all very easy for Droopy's Pension.
Yeah, he didn't start really fluently at all. It wasn't until he nearly went by the winning line he just took off, and he made bits of them really into the bend. The race was over by that point. Cash's King is running much better than he had been for a number of months. A dog I was a massive admirer of when he was running the Con Kirby in Limerick and as a puppy, really starting to come back to form. Still a little bit below it, but he's getting better every week, and if he did manage to recover his best form, he's a massive chance. Lola's Bear running well back in third, but yeah, Droopy's Pension put the race to bed halfway on the way to the bend, and once getting round in front, John Lennon was way to a flyer.
With the benefit of hindsight, we know that 29.44 was up there with the very best runs of the entire round. So Droopy's Pension, you know, he wasn't on many people's radar, but he's clearly a greyhound that could go a round or two, and who knows, he might be just there in the later stages of the Derby. Yeah,
definitely, and like we said, he didn't even trap that great. If he trapped a bit more fluently, there might be a little bit more improvement still to come.
We move on. Another Cork success in the second heat of the night, and this was Court of Justice. A strange enough affair. Jermira Buddy led early, just didn't have enough to hold on. Highview Micro came to challenge, but it was Court of Justice. He's devastating 2-3. Not a great stayer, not a great starter, but 2-3. He took up the running into the third bend, built a lead, and then maintained it to win in 29.72. Nobody's going to say he's going to win a Derby, but he's a dog with a lot of pace down the back straight, and he could just get in the way of one or two of the fast ones.
Yeah, it's not like me to take my eyes off a race, and literally at the third bend I had to pull out my card to see what dog this was. He really caught the eye running into the third bend. He just seemed to find an extra gear out of somewhere, and he flew it, and he took up command, and he put the race to bed at that point. Very impressed with him. He'll face stiffer tasks, I'm sure. Will he stand up to it? Well, we'll wait and see, but you have to say he was one of those just that sort of came in under the radar. I wasn't as sure about him, but I definitely know him going into the next round. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Like you said there, he might not have the best area or the best stamina, but he has gears, and that's what you need. Highview Micro and Jeremiah Buddy, look, they're in the next round. They will need to improve on what they've done in this race, but they're there with a shout.
Only 5 went to traps in Heat 3, but I think we saw a very pleasing display from 2 greyhounds that, well, have been there, done that. Of course, Ballyan Sim was the runner-up in this contest, but he won the Derby last year. Slippy Keen was one of the joint favourites in the Derby final, and he got the better of Ballyan Sim on this occasion, 29.48. But I'd imagine both sets of connections very happy with their greyhounds. Ballyan Sim setting a strong gallop, not beaten far in the end, and Slippy Keen just coming to the boil at the right time.
Does he ever miss it, Ballyan Sim? He's ever reliable, he's ever green, he does what he says on the tin, he just pops out, he gives his all from start to finish. He's a real warrior. You don't want to be on the inside of him. He dived in out of 3. That would just slightly worry you if you happened to be drawn on the inside of him, and if there was a fast starter on the inside of him, he could have trouble. He just cut straight across for the inside. He loves trap one, as we know. Slippy Keen, a great run to pick him up, but like you said, they're 2 stalwarts, they're 2 great dogs. They were in the final last year, and the way they're running at the moment, I'm sure they'll keep on getting better. They haven't got much racing done this year, so if they come on a little bit more, and like you said, even 29.48, it's up there with the best of them in the second round, so very impressive both of them.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing them next week. Now moving on to Heat 4, and this one was our surprise, a real powerhouse. Change of seeding from the opening round, a middle seed. He ended up out in the stripes of 6, and it really suited him. He gets a clear run around the opening 2 bends. Great Eastern, a gallant performer for Martin Lanny, won well in the opening round, but on this occasion, when our surprise turned this close, I'm afraid the writing was on the wall, and our surprise, a dog who stays 600 yards strongly, was always going to pick up the leader, and did so, and set the standard on Friday night, 29.42, and subsequently only 1 dog went faster in the entire round.
Yeah, look, I thought Martin's dog ran great to clear Alahan River, as we've seen in the first round, plenty of early pace. The race was over at the first bend. We know our surprise, he's got plenty of racing in Dundalk. This lad stays forever. He's such a powerhouse from halfway. He turned in behind Martin's dog, and it was really, the writing was on the wall at that point. I thought Great Eastern stuck to the task pretty well. credit where credit is due. He didn't just throw in the towel, but he was no match for our surprise from halfway. 29.42, when them stayers get on the bunny as early as they do and get a clear passage, they're capable of that. If will he get a clear run going forward is the big thing, but there's a serious engine in there.
It certainly is our surprise. He's one that if you had a dog struggling to get home in third spot, you wouldn't want to see him in your tail going down the back straight.
Yeah, 100%. He's definitely one that's going to keep on qualifying, and he'll face adversity well compared to others. The
big shock of the round came in Heat 5, and here Wolf, who had been promoted to Derby favouritism after a sensational 29-22 in the opening round, and on this occasion, well, he was beaten at odds of 3-1 on by Toolmaker Me Dad. It has to be said, there was nothing lucky or, there was nothing not deserving about Toolmaker Me Dad. He did everything right, popped out of traps, dived for the inside from trap 5, but comfortably got the corner from Wolf, and once doing so, I felt held the same racing line as Wolf, and as a result, Wolf just couldn't get at him. But Toolmaker Me Dad, a strong runner, as Robert Gleeson will freely admit, he is a strong running greyhound once on the bunny, and he ran out a very comfortable winner in 29.46. Wolf, perhaps a little bit disappointing in second spot, but he's still there and he's still a leading player.
Yeah, the only shock I had really about it was where Toolmaker Me Dad was drawn. Like, this dog was up there with the favourites for the Con Kirby. He's just done no racing since the Con Kirby. We spoke here last week when he was in that messy race, and we said, I said this lad'll do a second quicker than what he done tonight. He done 30.47 on that occasion. He done 29.46 tonight. He's a brilliant railer. He loves trap 1. I was really concerned about him out in 5, but he does everything right. He starts, he goes well down the back, and he stays. He was up there in contention for that Con Kirby, and it was a really good one at that time. This dog is serious ability. That was the only question I had, was would trap 5 be a massive hindrance? He just about got away with it. He just got across at the corner, but he's a very, very good greyhound who I'm sure a couple of people would have gobbled up at a fancy price in this race trying to take on Wolf. Like you said, I wouldn't knock Wolf at all. Like, I think he ran a great race. I think he just came up against one better than him on the night, and the one that's better than him is an exceptionally fast greyhound themselves. They're two very, very good dogs who I see going plenty far in this competition.
It's worth pointing out, if Wolf did 29.22 last week, there's nothing to stop him doing it again in the remainder of the competition. If he did in Derby final night, I've no doubt 29.22 would see you go very, very close in the Derby final. Moving on to the 6th heat of the night, and NEWINN Leicester was one of the more taking winners of the evening. A dog with tremendous early speed. We saw it in defeat behind McKilmacdonagh in the opening round, where he showed fine pace after missing the kick. On this occasion, didn't fly out, but had brilliant early speed, went to the front. He does tie up a little bit, but he's definitely getting that bit fitter. 29.56. He's not out of this derby. I know a lot of shrewd men that are holding on vouchers for NEWINN Leicester, hoping that he gets his draw every night, which he probably will out in trap 6. He's a dog with big derby claims.
Oh, he is. Look, early pace is so valuable, and he's got it in abundance. Slieve League is no slouch, and she gave her all in defeat. But like you said, NEWINN Leicester, he's going to be getting 6 most nights, at probably worst 5. And if you can go up with that early pace, if there is going to be trouble, it generally happens on the inside. If you're on the outside and you don't clear the corner, you could land in it. But if for him, he can shoot the bend, and if there's trouble in behind, he'll be gone. And he does have that early pace, and he's going to be a major player. He's one of those, doesn't have as big a name, I suppose, as some of the other hot shots, but he's got early. He stays the trip well enough, and you could probably set your clock to him. He's going to be doing those similar runs every night, as long as, with them early pacers, as long as he steers clear of any trouble. If he missed it some night and found a bit of trouble, he will struggle probably to qualify, but that's not his game. His game is get on the bunny as quickly as possible, like he did on Friday night.
I suppose he's one of those dogs that wants the 550 run up, but wants the 525 yards. But he is a fast greyhound. Slieve League, she's one that, if you're on her inside, you worry. If you're on her outside, you go lovely, because you know she's going to dive for the inside. She could play a part in the draw coming up in these weeks. You don't want to be on her immediate inside.
Yeah, another one like Ballyane, same, just one strap one, and that's their racing style, and both of them have got cracking early, so it's not as if you're going to lead them and they'll come in behind you. They pop out in front of you and you're on the inside, you're in a bit of butter.
Liam Dowling had a shocker on Friday night. He'll freely admit that himself. I'm sure Ballymac Taz had been herself under a bit of a cloud. It was clear when she led to the corner, ran off the bend, and she seemed to just lose her action momentarily off the second bend, that something was amiss with her. She was feeling something. She ran on fine, like she will be fine, no doubt about that. But as a result of her actions out front, there was 4 or 5 of them at halfway, You could have thrown a tea towel over them. I think it was less than 3 lengths covering the 6 at halfway. This could have gone anyway, but Toolmaker Daddy got the best of the run up the outside, charged the front into the third bend, cut off BoyleSports King. That was the decisive moment in the race, but Toolmaker Daddy is a strong runner. He was going to be hard to pick up, and he ran out a good winner and a fine double for Willie Hislop and Robert Gleeson.
Yeah, very much so. A very strange race, like you said. Unfortunately, Taz just wasn't herself. I really liked the first and the second here, to be honest. Toolmaker Daddy, there's not much of him. He's only 64 pound weight. I've seen him over the far side, and he doesn't look any more than 64. He is quite a handy sized dog, but he's tough and he stays and he does everything right. As soon as he hit the front, I don't know whether King would have picked him up. It doesn't really matter, they're both in the next round, but he's one dog you don't really want to see in front of you because he does stay so strongly. The thing I loved about BoyleSports King was between the first 2 bends, for a greyhound so inexperienced, he doesn't have early. That's the way his mother met him. He's never going to go to the bend. That's just his racing style. He switched to the inside to steer out trouble, but on the crest of the bend, he didn't wait until the back straight. On the crest of the corner, he made up his mind and he drove up the inside. He went up where a tight railer would go. So to have that sort of intelligence at such a young greyhound, I think it'll stand him in great stead going forward. Look, he probably might not have the early pace to win a derby, but he's going to keep qualifying the way he's running at the moment, because he does tend to drop out of the first corner, let things unfold and pick up the pieces, and he's probably as fast as anything in the competition from halfway. So I'm sure John will get a great spell out of him. Cabra Firmino, his game is early pace, got a bit of trouble at the corner, and that sort of ruled out him, but I'm sure there's better to come from Cabra Firmino too.
As fast as Cabra Firmino is to the corner, he's probably the 5th fastest of Pat Guilfoyle in the Derby to the opening bend. But BoyleSports King, I think you're right, there is certainly a touch of X factor about him. Be interesting to see how he progresses. He's only so young, of course, October. Moving on, the last of the heats on Friday night, and this went to Lenson Blinder. After the start you go, he's going to get the corner, this is going to be facile, 29.30, 29.40, because we know exactly the engine he has. Ribchester, though, after missing the kick, raced up around the outside, shot into a clear advantage. Lenson Blinder came at him to the third bend, was forced to ease as Ribchester, normally a wide runner, cut in on the third bend, and then he drifted off the final bend, and once doing so, Lenson Blinder was always going to be too strong. But Lenson Blinder, no question, massive engine, but just lacks that couple of yards to the corner. Like, Ribchester left him standing into the bend, and that's my concern for Lenson Blinder. I've no doubt as fast as any greyhound in it, but just that opening 50-80 yards is a worry.
Yeah, it will be. Look, Ribchester is exceptional to the corner. He's got plenty of flashy sprints on his card, so I'm sure he'll come up against lesser lights than him to the bend. But like you said, yeah, look, we've got Grangeview 10 in this, Cabra Firmino, there is plenty of early pacers, Ballyhan same, the list goes on, and they probably do outpace him to the corner slightly, but he's a very good dog, and he's a good competition dog, as Lenson Blinder. He's always thereabouts. He can do it from the front, he can do it down the back, and he can do it coming home. Brilliant competition dog, a dog he'd love to own, because he's never going to be far away, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's always thereabouts. I think he'll stay progressing. Look, to win a derby you need luck, and he'll probably need a bit of luck to get to the bend, but you could say that about a few of them. There's a couple of them there, the likes of JT Taylor, Ballymac Cooper. They're not blessed with early speed either. So Lenson Blinder does probably fall into that category a little bit, but he probably has a little bit more early pace than the last two I mentioned. But he's thereabouts, and I'm sure he'll still be there in a couple of weeks, because he's just that type of a greyhound. Well,
that's exactly it. More importantly, he got into the draw for the third round, and that's what it's all about at this stage, progression. Well, we do now know the first 24 names in the draw drum. We'll be joining you for the final 8 heats on Saturday night.